I actually did my undergraduate and master's training here in Pensacola at the University of West Florida in physics and computer science. So it's great to be back. I have a lot of family here visiting today. I love to visit Pensacola. But currently in San Antonio, I study in a medical physics program. So in brief, medical physics, it's a really elegant union of healthcare and computing. And so Bob mentioned mathematics, so that fits quite well into the definition of physics as well. And physics comes into play in medicine anytime that you have radiation involved. So if there's radiation in medicine, you want somebody in physics involved on your team. And it comes into play in treatment, so radiation therapy for cancer treatment, as well as in imaging, so things like X-ray, CAT scan, ultrasound, MRI. Those are all physics as well, so we can use those to get good images internally of our patients non-invasively. So within medical physics, I actually work in diagnostic imaging physics and neuroimaging. So neuroimaging, just in brief, brain imaging, so brain scans. How can we use our imaging to really learn about the human brain? So that was a lot to start at medical physics and then kind of get to brain imaging, and then ultimately mental health is the topic of my dissertation research. But today's talk, of course, is about AI. So in general, if we're going to talk about AI and mental health care, you may have heard in the news, just as a current event, AI being used to monitor social media. So I know this is a topic out there. AI being used to screen posts and mediate cyberbullying. So are you sure you want to say this after you've typed it out? Of course, there's legal and ethical implications to that, which is going to be a topic that's echoed through all of our topics today, as well as AI screening for signs of distress in social media posts. But more specifically, my research, again, is in brain imaging. So what I do for my dissertation is I look at very large quantities of brain scans in people with depression. So data mining being a loose term for this, what can we infer with this large amount of data? And again, with those huge data sets, AI, deep learning, machine learning, that can really help us analyze this large volume of data. Okay. So I think that's good for my introduction. I'll hand it over to Lloyd.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Lloyd Richard, and I could talk forever about artificial neural networks, but I won't try to go too far. But as a kid, my mother would bring home these toys for my brother and I to play with. But there was like one problem with these toys. These toy cars, they were broken, so we had to fix them. And so I developed a passion for fixing things. So I ended up becoming an electrical engineer, graduated from the University of Florida. And so after a couple of years out of industry, I ended up going to work for what's now called Air Force Research. And so we did all the technology for developing weapon concepts, which eventually became the smart weapons and stuff that was used in the different war. But the biggest challenge we had was these weapons had to automatically be able to identify targets and stuff like that. And so about 1995, I was sitting in a briefing, algorithm guy. He basically said, this powered low-cast weapon concept, that would fly around with tanks and soft targets, but it had to use algorithms to kind of automatically recognize the target. And so he said, it's like we need a Cray supercomputer on this little small weapon that I could actually fit in my hand. And the light bulb went on for me because it was a common theme that you need to be able to process data real time on a robot. You need to be able to process data real time on a drone. You need to be able to process data real time. But when you think about medical, what if you're doing an X-ray or MRI and you want to detect the problem as fast as possible? That's the same computational problem as automatic target recognition. And so I focused most of my career, even though it wasn't my job, on computing ways to compute things faster. So I sponsored a lot of research, and guess what I found? That fastest way to process data in real time. The same thing everybody's talking about right now: artificial neural networks. That's what I find, and so I appreciate Lloyd talking about the artificial neural networks, because in the late 90s, the government, we weren't supposed to be spending any money on AI stuff because we had wasted a lot of money in the past and did fail, so that was kind of like the AI winter, but we started this, but we started this Web Tech program, and so our first contract was with the guy that's not my current partner, and it was called the Warhead Design Creativity Machine. So believe it or not, we built through that project, $100,000 project, and we had a working prototype in 3 weeks using artificial neural networks glued together. That's how interesting, because once you get your data in the right order, you can actually model it pretty quickly with artificial neural network. Now, the one thing Dr. Hart mentioned is that these artificial neural networks, it takes a lot of data. You have to train it into deep learning and stuff like that. So I wasn't really an artificial neural network expert. I just like using stuff. And so when I met my guy that's now my partner in cognitive data systems, basically he came up with a way artificial neural network to train an untrained artificial neural network automatically, so it could actually train the data in real time as it's streaming through the thing. So that was the most amazing technology I came across my whole career, and sponsored hundreds of millions of dollars worth of research. And so it's really powerful. And so that's the kind of technology that can be used in healthcare to kind of move everything forward. And like I said, I could talk forever, but I'll stop there. And like I appreciate also that Hart ran up that project we did, and so I think you were really impressed with the artificial neural networks.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting to be able to create a model to predict something. That was my first actual experience, and that's probably over 10 years ago.
Well, I think it was about 2013, 14 time.
Yeah, so again, I want to stress one thing that I think is really interesting when you look at the literature, and that is we don't know what we don't know. Now, that sounds like a dumb statement, but meaning that, I'm going to give you one example, and these are all brain new things. One guy said, well, it's enough to go look at diabetic retinopathy, which is mainly how AI in the eye is being used. He said, I'm going to look for other stuff. Why would you do that? Where else? The answer is easy. Where else in the body do you have a visible artery and veins and whatnot? So what did he do? He was able to predict gender, age, smoking status, and cardiovascular risk, all from analyzing data. So I think that's huge. Let me give you a second example. I am getting down to 10-foot view, but I don't apologize for it. 10 days ago in the Lancet, the Mayo group, which has a wonderful AI group, was able to predict atrial fibrillation while you're in a normal sinus rhythm. So in other words, a lot of people go in and out of atrial fibrillation, right? Paroxysmal atrial fibrillation, a major source of embolic stroke. And I had a friend that had a stroke, and then a couple of months later had atrial fibrillation. Yeah, they had a dose of AI. There's no question that it probably caused his stroke, but he was going in and out of it, in other words. All right, well, think about this. So there's an article a year ago that says they can diagnose it in an EKG in front of them. This is even better. They diagnosed it in a normal sinus rhythm, and they did it on a 10-second EKG. Now that brings up two things just to stimulate conversation and interest. Let's see, other physicians, well anyway, for years we've read non-specific ST and T wave changes in the EKG, right? That's because we're too stupid to know what it meant. Second of all, if it'll predict atrial fibrillation in a normal EKG, can it predict a dangerous ventricular aorta? So we don't know what we don't know. And so the same thing applying to an echocardiogram, both the still images and the video. It can out-predict a physician. So, I mean, I can go, I'll stop there, but I'm just saying the interesting stuff is we're only scratching the surface. The algorithms can be fine-tuned for different purposes. The three major things: image analysis, text analysis, speech analysis. There are others, but those are the three biggies, okay? And you can use similar algorithms, but they keep getting better, as you would think they would. And understand, like, Google has something called Auto ML, ML for machine learning. It selects the algorithm it thinks you should have. You don't have to select it. And again, I think eventually when we can agree on the outcome, the endpoint, the AI algorithm will grade itself. And it'll select a variety of, because we were just having this conversation this weekend at a conference, the so-called C statistics is really proved. The area under the curve, it's going to get better. You're going to have a menu. And so when you start to prove what AI did, it'll grade itself. I think that's coming. And I'll stop there. I could go on.